So, good evening, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you are watching us from. My name is Gardner, and today I have Coach Banda. We are in Zambia doing what we do best. And I'll let Coach first introduce himself and give us two or three of the things that I do not know that you would want the audience to get to know. Yes, Coach Banda.
Is there anything that you do not know?
Yeah, probably.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so my name is Coach Banda, and basically speaking from Zambia, Lusaka, to be specific. This is with our capital city, by the way. Yeah, so I happen to be in the space of addiction and mental health care space. And I always tell people that this is not something that I really wanted to be doing.
How did it
Never,
come?
never, never thought that I would be in this space, by the way.
Yes.
I grew up wanting to become a soldier, like I was telling you, but of course, because of our diversity, things did not work out the way I expected them to be. So instead of responding, I reacted to an issue because of the trauma that I had, and of course, even just the aspect of not having the capacity to just manage certain emotions. Yeah, so yeah, I ended up being admitted, and I was diagnosed with what they call alcohol-induced disorder, which came
Alcohol-induced disorder.
is what they call alcohol-induced disorder, which came as a result of my alcohol addictive behavior. Yeah, so and after my recovery, I think I saw a huge gap, and I just really developed a passion with regard to how can I also be of value of young people that are basically struggling with those kind of issues. And that's why I went back to school, did some studies around, counseling, and some studies around entrepreneurship. And then, of course, all those, manifested skill set, enabled me to pioneer an enterprise called Elevated Initiative, of which under it we focus on three things. Of course, we focus on entrepreneurship, we focus on mental wellness. That's what we call it. We don't call it mental health. We call it
Yes,
mental wellness. Yeah, because of the positivity that just comes with the
Yes,
word,
yes, yes. With the word, yeah,
wellness.
the stigmatization to reduce the stigmatization.
Yes, yes, yes. And of course, environmental justice, because we believe that sometimes the environment that the person
Yeah.
exposes themselves to also speaks to how they think and how they operate and how they handle certain issues. So we do run a program called the On Your Mind. Yeah, so under it we've got different programs. We've got an employee wellness program where we do provide services in the corporate space, and of course we also got the collegiate program where we do provide these services in higher learning institutions. Like right now, we're doing a program at the University of Zambia, and of course, other programs that we're doing with the traditional chiefs, with the traditional leaders. Yes, in a nutshell, those are some of the things. It's a long introduction, yeah?
Yeah, it's a long introduction that covers everything.
Sure.
Yes, but wait, let me because you're speaking more from this side, so
Okay.
it will capture you very well than the other side. So yes, it's a very long program and a
Okay.
long introduction. But
Sure.
let's go back to the genesis.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into this addiction? Was it something you had foreseen, or it happened unconsciously? One step leading to another, leading to another, and by the time you know it, boom, you're being diagnosed by induced.
Yeah, I would say I think it started when I was young,
Yeah.
and so when I was really reflecting on why I ended up in a state where I was, I grew up with an alcoholic father.
Oh.
So I remember back in the days, you could send me to buy alcohol, and I could sip,
A little,
a little,
like many of us did. Yeah.
and I could sip, a little. So I grew up in a culture, in a culture where those things were like normal.
Yes.
My uncle used to smoke. Yeah, and I remember the first smoke that I had was because my uncle gave me the stick. Yeah, so and in as much as I was growing, even when I was in school, that was the behavior that I
That had to catch up with you later.
yeah. So yeah,
And from that, because I'll be coming back and forth. Now I know why you talked about the environment.
sure.
So it is your environment that tamed you unconsciously.
Sure, sure.
So from that one stick, from one sip, when they sent you to the shop,
Yeah.
you ended up liking.
Mm-hmm.
And also it being available, you were
Yeah.
being sent and getting that opportunity to sip,
Yeah.
kept on growing. Then yeah, proceed. Kept on growing.
Yeah, it kept on growing. Then it just became something that like that was just automatic. And
Part
of
of
course,
you,
by the way, I
yes.
remember, when you're growing up, you are watching these movies. Then you like the movies like for Rambo and Van
Yes.
Damme. You know what I mean? So you find that when Rambo is disappointed or Van Damme is disappointed, he go at the counter,
And how
he
does
grabs
his,
the whiskey, and then he
yes,
drinks the whiskey, and then he
yes,
just put it on the table, and then he's like, "Oh wow," you know what I mean? So you find that you now start thinking that this is the way you handle
yes,
stress. This is the
stress.
way you handle rejection. So even when I was disappointed, I thought that could be really, a solution,
Yeah.
to the struggles that I was in, not knowing that according to my body makeup, my biological
Yes,
makeup,
yes, you
those
couldn't handle.
toxins were just really,
Yeah.
so much, it just became too much for me. Not until, I find myself in a state where I couldn't even just, be able to manage myself.
Manage.
Yeah.
Then, did it come from you to go to the hospital or you found yourself there? Because there are two things. You have seen people who catch themselves, who
Mm-hmm.
get conscious, and they're like, I think I need to stop this. And they go and seek medical help.
Mm-hmm.
Or they break down
Yeah.
that people around them actually take them to these facilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me it was my parents, because I remember I was smoking, and I went home, then I started hallucinating, then at the end
Yeah.
of the day I just found myself at the hospital. Yeah, then instead I was admitted for some time, then yeah, came out. Yeah, and of course, there's how mental health issues come with certain lengths of stigma
Of
and
stigmatization.
discrimination and
Yes,
such kind of,
yes.
yeah. So I started experiencing those in my community, which was too much for me to bear. Yeah, because I started, isolating myself in that kind of a state. Yeah, but because of the support that I had around me,
Mm,
I started seeing certain things that became so much pivotal for me to continue doing.
mm.
Then I realized that of course the environment was just so much
So much
for
toxic.
me,
Yeah.
toxic for me. So I decided, because that happened on the southern part of Zambia, that's in Choma. So I said, no, I'm going to leave this place, and I'm going back to the capital city. So that's how I came to the capital
So
city.
by the time you came to the capital city, you were sober. Like
The,
you had chilled
yes,
out.
yeah.
You
So
had
the time that I was coming, that was the time that I was going through, detox.
uh,
I was still on medication.
uh,
Yeah. So in fact, I had to get a transfer
yeah.
on to continue with my medication.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I came to the capital city, and I made a decision that I'm going to be intentional with regard to the people that I was going to interact with. Yeah, so that's how I became intentional. Joined some social clubs, the running clubs where I used to do marathons.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that environment really, built me up.
Built you up.
That's the
Yes.
environment that has really built me up, because you find that you're interacting with people, they'll tell you, say, no, no, next week I'm going out, I'm flying out. Then, then you don't have a passport. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, these people, they fly. You start learning how
Yes.
to mirror certain
Yes.
behaviors.
Yes.
They're like,
Yes.
yeah, I'm going to set my goals. At the session, at the master class, you find that you're meeting people that are doing certain things. They're in the corporate space. They are doing things to do with corporate governance. They are
Mm.
consultants. They are like coaches. They're like, what are these professions? So I developed a passion because of the people that I used to interact with. They were examples and not the
Yes. Yes.
exemption
Yes.
of the thing
Yes.
that I could do. Yeah, so it's from that background that really gave me the strength. Yeah.
If you're watching us, I'm coming to you. Coach Banda has talked about two fundamental things, and one of them has talked about the environment. He has shared with us how the environment broke him, but he has also shared with us how the environment has made him. Now we have a choice because the environment you're in will determine how you thrive. It can either break you as it did, or it can make you as it is making him, because it has pushed him now. The environment that he's in is pushing him to become better, and he has become better. And he has told us that's how he started Elevate. So that as he can help people that have going through the same things he went through. We are human beings. We know we leave clues. And for him, he has known the clues, he has learned the clues, and now he's trying to pass on the clue to somebody who might fall into that trap. But Banda, you've
Hmm.
just a company, you know what you want to do, you know the challenges, you've been through them, you've learned about them, you're having an environment of people that are now pushing you. Now, I want us to break it down. How does an addiction start? Like you talked about it,
Hmm.
in laissez-faire to
Hmm.
in passers by.
Hmm.
But according to your experience, exposure, how do we start being addicted to something?
Yeah, I think there. I don't think there is like
A pattern or
the
a step by
pattern
step.
step by
Yeah,
step with regard to how many
yeah,
people come into contact with addiction. But I think one of the things that I would talk about ideally, of course, we have addiction that comes out as a result of the biological mode of a
yes,
biological makeup
yeah,
of an individual
yeah,
because of some chemical imbalances. You
yes,
see,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
there are also some addiction that will just come out because of false beliefs. When I smoke, I'll become strong. When
Yeah.
I do this,
The Rambo
yeah,
ideology you gave us, the
yeah,
example of those who are
yes,
counter
yeah,
picks, and you think that the
yes.
alcohol made
Eh?
him strong, yet he was already strong.
Yes, you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, sometimes it's just an inability to change a situation. Whereby
Yes.
you think, I have to do this, but when you fail, you think, I think I just have to use alcohol to numb,
Yes.
the pain and the shame. And sometimes it's just also not having a group or a team or a support system
Like
around
minds.
you
Yes.
that can just really help you to navigate certain challenges. Like that, and sometimes, like for me, it is mainly because of some unresolved issues
Issues.
of
Yes.
trauma.
So you're trying
You
to
know,
escape.
yes, yes,
Yes.
and use alcohol as a solution to numb the pain, the
Mm.
shame, and the guilty that I was basically experiencing at that particular time.
Mm.
You see, because there were certain unresolved issues that I wasn't able to just face and have a conversation with. So sometimes I always say one of the things that causes many people to experience addiction is unresolved issues of trauma.
Mm.
If you haven't been able to resolve a certain dimension of trauma that you experience, especially when you were young, you find
Mm.
that those things now show up in your
Yes.
adulthood.
Adulthood.
You
Yes.
find that you've gotten a behavior which you don't even know how it started. Why? Because there are certain traumatic experience that you had maybe in your childhood that
Mm.
hasn't been resolved, and now those things started showing up in your adulthood. So, and I believe that's one of the things that many people are experiencing.
They are trying to cover up a wound thinking it's healing.
Yeah,
Little do they
true.
know it's going to rot and smell, and people get to know
Oh yeah, yes, yes,
unresolved issues.
yes. I love how you said it's going to smell.
It's
Yeah,
going to smell and it's going
sure.
to show. We all battle. That's the truth. Everybody is battling something. But as he had said, how are you managing that of which you're battling? At times, you may postpone and cover it up. But remember, everything you cover has to come up. Even a seed, when you put it in the ground and cover it, it will germinate and sprout out. And people will know, hey, you threw there a maize seed or a bean seed.
Sure.
Now, he's telling us, are you able to face that challenge? You may not face it alone, but we have people who are professionals. But the first thing you need to understand is that you're covering up something. And two, it will smell whether you want it or not. So there isn't a step by step process, but at least we know there is a way on how we get addicted if we don't open up to see
Sure.
what is happening in us so that we can be able to solve it. Coach, you have dealt with so many, even as yourself, as you've said, with so many who have gotten addicted. What are some of the challenges that these people face that hinders them from getting back to their senses or becoming sober again?
Yeah, sometimes it's what I call self-oppression.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I experienced where you just start oppressing yourself internally.
Internally.
And you just start, and then end up writing yourself off before even someone else
Yes.
tell you to say, no, you don't want to hear, but
Yes.
you've already
Written
written
yourself.
yourself off. So I believe, there is a place for people to just come into contact with, be able to rebuild what their true identity is. Because
Yes.
sometimes when someone experiences such kind of a condition, you find that they lose an identity.
Yes.
So there's what we call the child model of recovery, where a person has to be exposed to how are they going to connect, not to other
Again.
people, but
Yes.
how are they going to connect to
To themselves
themselves.
first.
You see, and how,
Yeah.
in as much as they are connecting to themselves, how are they bringing up that hope, within themselves, that of course this is what I've gone through, but this is not the end of the world. This adversity can be, an advantage. This obstacle can be able to be, it can be a raw material,
Yes. For you to bring out
to
something that
bring
will help
out
you.
something that will be able to be an opportunity. So there's that aspect of hope. There's also that has to be that aspect of being able to identify yourself. Like, okay, what's my identity? Who am I? This thing has happened to me, but who am I? Will this thing define me, or am I going to define it?
I like, will it define me,
Yes.
or I'm going to define it? And you started by saying you became intentional.
Yes.
Intentionality.
Yeah.
From whom you relate with,
yeah,
to what you are going to do.
Yeah.
So often in time, it starts with self-awareness.
Yeah.
Are you aware? Self-consciousness.
Sure.
To get to understand that, you know what, it is okay not to feel okay. But what you do after you realize that it's not okay,
Yeah.
that's what made the difference. And that's what you're telling us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. So once you realize that, and now you have to work, okay, what's my meaning? Okay, this thing has happened. How am I going to make a meaning of it? You know, what purpose is it really exposing me to? You know what I mean? And it's only when you are able to subscribe to that aspect where the things that you do speaks to your purpose, meaning, and values, that you now be able to develop a certain dimension of resiliency, which is now a currency. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I hear so many people think that resilience is a cause.
Uh-huh.
Little do they know, resilience is a result.
Yeah.
As you've said, it's a currency.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are small things you've been doing. And the first one, he has given it to us, self-consciousness.
Yeah.
The intentionality of saying, today forth, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to check myself. I'm going to know where I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm not to go who am I hanging out with. You take full control, because after you've taken control of yourself, then what you attract is not what you are, but who you are.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, right? Yes.
It's who you are.
Yeah,
so when you say, I have decided, the whole world comes to support you after you've made the decision.
Yes.
It's until you make
the
decision.
Yeah.
So, Banda, we have started this conversation to be going on over and over again. Our viewers, we shall be letting you know when we shall be having these open conversations. It will be online. Today, I'm so blessed. He's my very good friend. We have met and decided to just go raw, deconstruct what we think, but we will be more
and
decolonize it. But I know there is somebody out there who's addicted to something. It may not even be drugs. We're addicted to our social media, we're addicted to our phones, we're addicted to our work, we're addicted to our exercises, we're addicted to our meals. Addiction is anything that you can't do without, and your body keeps longing and longing for it.
Yeah.
What can you tell us? Yes, I know you've given us a prototype. Identify yourself, be conscious, be what. But if there's somebody watching us right now, what would you tell them that if he's there, he doesn't lose hope and he believes it is possible?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I think the first thing is to appreciate that recovery from any addictive behavior, it's something that is very much possible. But as much as it is possible, there are conditions that makes it possible. And I think the first one is around acceptance and responsibility. Yeah, because you just have to accept and it's a process first of all, but you also just have to take responsibility. Yeah, I know there's a place where we say no, it's about having a strong willpower, but there's also a place for you to just will.
Yes, and pull.
Yeah.
That's what you want now. Starts to pull you, not just willing to say.
Not just willing. Because you might have the willpower, but of course, do you have the power to will of the things that you want to become, the person that you want to become?
I hear you.
Yeah. So just having that realization that I can choose what I want to become, and that is within my power, and I have to be intentional with regard to the environment that I expose myself to, the food that I eat, the music that I listen to, and even the movies that I watch. So it's just about bringing that intentionality.
So the intentionality starts with your five senses, because the five senses is what feeds your willpower and your intentionality. And it reminds me of Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. We were talking about it. He said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So what is that you're conceiving that you think you can't achieve? Think about it. Yes, thank you so much, Banda. It was an honor to have this conversation, and I know there are so many conversations to come. Ladies and gentlemen, those hearing us or watching us right now, we're in Zambia, Lusaka to be exact, and I'm with my very good friend Coach Banda, and we are learning, and learning never stops. Please, we'll be letting you when this episode will be continuing. Follow us, subscribe, go on his social media handles. Coach Banda is on LinkedIn, he's on TikTok, he's on everywhere. Just look up for
Yeah,
him
yeah.
and learn more and learn more, because learning never, never stops. My name is Gardner. See you in the next episode. Adios. Oh.